Good evening, everybody. I am a stereotypical British narrator, and this is the unboxing of the August 2016 IndieBox for the Stanley Parable. If you're wondering why this is being uploaded in 2017, well, that's because Capitalist was very, very busy during the tail end of 2016. Also, he is a very, very lazy man who procrastinates like it's nobody's business. But as they say, better late than never. The Stanley Parable is an interactive fiction video game where you control an office worker named Stanley. Stanley was minding his own business one day in his cubicle, hard at work, when he noticed that all of his fellow co-workers had disappeared. So it's up to you, the player, to guide Stanley through his office building as he tries to figure out exactly what happened and uncover all the mysteries about his place of employment. You're able to choose wherever you want to go and what you want to do, but I recommend listening to that very handsome sounding, dapper gentleman of a narrator. But if you're a lawless heathen, you can always disregard what he says and see where the story will take you. But why would you want to do that? There are multiple endings, multiple little side things you can do, and multiple paths you can take throughout the game. There's even achievements. You gamers like achievements nowadays, don't you? It's quite hard to really explain more of the Stanley Parable, as it's a game you're better off experiencing than watching. So I highly recommend picking it up, whether it's getting it directly from Steam or going to the IndieBox site to pick up its special edition. But enough about that. Let's open the box. Opening the box today will be Capitalist, but for all sakes and purposes, we will call him Stanley. And next to Stanley is the Stanley Parable Special Edition IndieBox in all its glory. Stanley could not wait to open the box, so he grabbed something to open the box with. And no, Stanley, stop. A cleaver is much too big to open the IndieBox. You might break the contents that are inside. Try something smaller, like a letter opener. Very good. Stanley used the letter opener to open the IndieBox with the utmost grace. And there you have it, the collector's edition box. This box contains everything you need to achieve your business goals and more. And it looks kind of like a box that would hold software from the 1990s. Isn't that lovely? Stanley opened the box and pulled out its contents. Inside, we have a case. But this is no ordinary case. This is the standard edition case. Move over, console games and movies. Back in August of 2016, IndieBox was happy to introduce custom IndieBox game cases to share your shelf. Stanley opened the case. Inside the case, we have the game disc and the original soundtrack. With the Stanley Parable game disc, you can enjoy the Stanley Parable on your preferred operating system without the need for an internet connection. And nothing speeds up the workday like rhythmically nodding your head while listening to the Stanley Parable soundtrack at a reasonable volume. Opposite of the game disc and the original soundtrack, Stanley found the instruction manual. The instruction manual contains detailed instructions on how to collect all 561 secrets to unlock the rare golden skin for Stanley. And you know you want that golden skin. Stanley opened up the instruction manual to show the viewers its contents. Hold it up to the camera, Stanley. What's wrong, Stanley? You're ruining a perfectly good unboxing video right now. What do you mean your hands are too shaky and the camera might not be able to focus? Fine, I guess we shall use the power of picture-in-picture to show the contents of the manual. On the very first 2 pages of the manual, we have a letter from the narrator. Not this narrator, but the narrator for the Stanley Parable. Let's read it, shall we? Hello. Thank you for purchasing the Stanley Parable. You're welcome. Please note, what you are holding in your hands is not the Stanley Parable, it is a piece of paper. The Stanley Parable is in fact a video game. If you've never played a video game, the important thing to know is that they all require 3 basic pieces of hardware: a screen, a mouse, and a 3/7" composite RCA connector. Do not continue reading until you've acquired these items. And do not continue watching this video until you've acquired such items. Yes, you do need those items to even watch other people play video games. But allow me to continue. Now that you've done all the necessary preparations, welcome! The physical instructional manual that you now hold in your hands will prepare you physically and mentally to play the Stanley Parable. You will learn how to play, when to play, and why to play. You'll learn about yourself, you'll learn about the people you're closest to in life. You won't learn about chainsaws, you won't learn about Peru. The purpose of a good instructional manual is to prepare the player for the game they're about to experience, to provide context and understanding of how the game is played. But I don't intend for this to be a good instructional manual, I intend for it to be an exceptional instructional manual. Unparalleled in the history of manuals, a landmark by which the gold standard for instructional manuals is set. I want this manual to be such a spectacular and informative experience that it makes the game itself feel like a letdown. I want you to recommend the Stanley Parable to your friends purely based on the emotional reaction you had to this very introduction. Anything less, and I will have considered my entire life's work a failure. I want you to literally name your child after me. That's how seriously I take this instructional manual. To that end, I have slaved away at this manual for years. The initial draft was just over 400 pages. And when I then cut out all the fat and slimmed it down to just the most relevant and useful information, I still had 380 or so pages on my hands. What followed next was months of a heart-wrenching, kill-your-babies editing process to get it down to IndieBox's maximum page length of 24. And as a result, there isn't a word printed in this manual that hasn't been vetted for the highest conceivable standard of quality and insight. Hope that reading this manual makes your life better, and then after that I hope that the game itself is okay too. Hope that you feel as I was justified in the amount of time I spent on these products, on the huge chunks of my life that I neglected while producing them. And above all, I hope that I've inspired you to go out and one day create an instruction manual of your own, to pay it forward. Isn't that why we can do any of this? Best of luck, and please give Stanley my regards when you see him. Yours sincerely, the narrator. Let us take a moment of silence to honor the narrator, who slaved over a hot typewriter to print us this amazing manual. Okay, moment of silence over, let's go over to the next page. Game installation. On this page we see the game installation instructions for Mac, Windows, and Linux users. Oh, how cute. They think they can play games. On the next page we have a screenshot of the main menu and a brief introduction as to how main menus work. You can always pause the video to read what my fellow narrator colleague wrote on these pages, and I highly recommend it. You might learn something. On the next page we have what the begin the game button does. I think you can press that to begin the game, but I'm not entirely sure. And then we have brief explanations of what the options, credits, and quit buttons accomplish. On the next page we have the story. I briefly went over the story in my introduction, but for a more detailed explanation of the story, you can always pause the video and read what the other narrator had to say about it. But the most important thing about the story is to always choose correctly. On the next page, we have the game summary. You can use a standard Atari controller to play this game, or a mouse and keyboard. I prefer the Atari controller personally. Once again, you can pause to read how to control Stanley. I won't go too much into it. On the next page we have the characters. There's Stanley, the protagonist of the game, and the character you will be inhabiting during your play. This page also has information on Employee 432. Note: no information was provided about Employee 432. On the next page, we have another brief explanation of the main menu, because why not? You can never have enough menu explanations in your manual. On the next page, we have a thesis on why to play video games. Please study the figures below. They are very important and will be on the exam. On the next page, we have guns. You're American. I know you love guns. If you're not American watching this video, I'm pretty sure you love guns as well. And these are all the guns you can use in the Stanley Parable. Except that redacted one. I think that might be a chainsaw. And contrary to popular belief, chainsaws are not guns. On the next page, we have a brief explanation of time. On the next page, we have another explanation on what a main menu is, because, quite frankly, you can never have too much knowledge on a main menu. On the next page, we have tips and tricks. On the next page, we have the Kids Corner. Oh, I just love Kids Corner sections. And in this Kids Corner section, we have a maze. I guess you could say that's pretty amazing for a Kids Corner section. So the object here is to help Stanley escape. Can you help Stanley escape? Note: it is impossible for Stanley to escape. He is trapped here forever. And on the next page, we have another explanation of the main menu. And on the next page, we have the W page. And on the page after that, we have more W's. And a note from the narrator. Okay, I'm done. I think I explained everything. You can go and play the Stanley Parable now. Hope you like it. Hope you understand it. I hope you set Stanley free. And then, of course, we have the Stanley Parable credits, and after that, the IndieBox credits. And finally, we have the most important part of any instruction manual, the notes page. Unfortunately, it looks like somebody got to this notes page first, so Stanley here won't be able to make much use of it. And there we have the Stanley Parable manual. Surely it is a work of art that rivals any great novel ever written. Such novels like The Cat in the Hat Comes Back and The Bernstein Bears Go to Las Vegas. Stanley then reached into the box to pull out the next item. And behold, it is the Stanley Parable tie. Add a little flair to that weekly grind. Great as a necktie, better as a headband. The choice is yours. Stanley showed off the beautiful black and gold Stanley Parable tie. He could not wait to wear it to his next business meeting and/or senior project presentation for his class. Note, he actually did wear it for a presentation during that class, and it went over very well with the students and the professors. Stanley grabbed the next thing that was inside the box. Behold, the official business cards. You must be a router because you are a networking machine. It's a set of 5 slick business cards to let your clients know you mean business. Official business. Stanley set the business cards aside and grabbed the next thing in the box. Behold, the existential mousepad. Does the weight of life's problems have you down? Here's a mousepad. Stanley was very excited to have this mousepad because it was a lot more professional. No, Stanley, we went over this. You cannot use a cleaver to open these contents. Yes, please, Stanley. Use the letter opener, for God's sake. Fine then. Fine. We'll do it your way, Stanley. Stanley opened up the cellophane to showcase the existential mousepad. He was holding it upside down. There we go, Stanley. Thank you. The end is near. Oh, sorry. The end is never the end. But as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by Stanley's ineptitude. He was very happy to have this mousepad indeed, because it's a lot more professional than his current mousepad. That's right, Stanley. Booby mousepads have no place in the office. Throw your waifu where she belongs, in the trash. Stanley looked forward to his new life with the existential mousepad. And finally, Stanley grabbed the last thing that was located inside the IndieBox, and it was an IndieBox sticker. IndieBox plus the Stanley Parable equals synergy. Don't you just love synergy? Synergy. 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 I know I do. I don't quite understand what synergy means. Personally, I think it's just a buzzword that hipster office people like to throw around. But what do I know? I'm just a narrator. Oh, sorry, Stanley, we forgot to do something. Stanley decided to show off the back of the collector's edition box so that you can see that it looks just like a standard 1990s software box. You know, for such popular programs of the 90s like Microsoft Word and AOL Internet and other such software. And so this unboxing comes to an end. So what say you, Stanley? How do you rate this box? Yes, Stanley rated this box a 9.72 out of 10. This was a very good indie box indeed, and Stanley would recommend it to everyone. Wouldn't you, Stanley? Of course you would. Otherwise, you'd be going against my story, and you know what happens when people go against my story, don't you, Stanley? So I hope you all enjoyed this late and very out-of-date and not quite relevant unboxing. And our friend Stanley here promises that it will not be 6 months for the next unboxing video. Mostly because the next unboxing video would require a lot less editing and has already been recorded. So that means it's coming 5 months late as opposed to 6. You know, that's slightly better. So thank you all for watching this video, which I personally thought was the greatest video of all time, but what do I know? I'm just a narrator. Have a wonderful day, and Toodle Pip. Yes, Toodle Pip viewers, Toodle Pip Stanley, and Toodle Pip the Stanley Parable Indie Box. Oh my god, are we done here? Bloody hell, I hated putting that voice on for this whole thing.